What is the purpose of the United Nations? The UN has such tremendous potential. I've always said it. It has such tremendous potential, but it's not even coming close to living up to that potential. For the most part, at least for now, all they seem to do is write a really strongly worded letter and then never follow that letter up.
That might have to do with the fact that the UN Security Council is constantly, castrated by the United States vetoing their votes on anything wanting to hold Israel accountable for the genocide they're carrying out in Gaza. But I digress. This morning, President Donald Trump savaged the United Nations at the United Nations Assembly in New York. He questioned the point of the UN and even tore into European countries for their immigration policies. So just to be clear, the president of the United States is under the impression that the US can aid and abet Israel in destabilizing Muslim and Arab countries in the Middle East and in Africa, and then essentially lead to a massive refugee crisis, which ends up getting absorbed by Europe. And then we go ahead and we mock Europe about it. Okay, great. So for the sake of time, though, we're going to focus on one part of Trump's speech in particular, because early on in the speech, Trump lied for Israel like a good boy and essentially blamed Hamas for rejecting ceasefire deals when we all know that's not actually the case.
As everyone knows, I have also been deeply engaged in seeking a ceasefire in Gaza. Have to get that done. Have to get it done. Unfortunately, Hamas has repeatedly rejected reasonable offers to make peace. We can't forget October 7th, can we?
I mean, that's all we hear about from the United States government and from Israel, even though tens of thousands of innocent Palestinians have been slaughtered in the last nearly, 2 years? But okay, no one's forgotten about October 7th. But can we maybe spare a moment or two and think about all the innocent kids that have been slaughtered in Gaza? Maybe spare a minute or two to talk a little bit about all the various countries that have been bombed and airstriked by Israel. I mean, they're starting up a war in Lebanon right now as we speak. They're occupying Lebanon, southern Lebanon specifically. They've freaking bombed Tunisia. But the belligerent Israeli government can do whatever it wants. Okay, so Waz, the idea that Hamas has rejected ceasefire deals is particularly infuriating when again and again they do accept the ceasefire deals under Israel's terms. And then Israel's like, just kidding. And if you don't believe me, get a load of Matthew Miller, the former State Department spokesperson under the Biden administration.
The US basically accepted the Israeli notion of that we will not put any deal on the table that will end the war.
The prime minister wouldn't agree to it because frankly, we had spent the last few months seeing the government of Israel at times try and sabotage an approach to get to a ceasefire. They were always looking for ways to add conditions or make the terms more difficult.
Will it be true to say that you wanted a deal, a hostage deal, more than Israel?
I believe that's true.
So I want to be clear. Prior to Matthew Miller leaving the federal government, because Biden's term had ended, Matthew Miller was regurgitating the same lies that we're hearing from Donald Trump. So don't make a mistake to think, oh, Matthew Miller is a good guy. No, he was lying to our faces during the Biden administration about the very same thing. So Waz, I want to bring you in because, when we talk about the uniparty, this is what people refer to. I get that there are some slight differences between the two parties as it pertains to social issues. But when it comes to war, when it comes to doing whatever Israel wants, both parties are complicit. There's no question. What do you think?
I mean, I don't see how you could say it's any differently when you look at the continuity between the Biden and the Trump administrations, particularly as it pertains to the war in Gaza. Right down to them leaking to Politico and Axios like, oh, Netanyahu did this thing that we're so pissed about, but are gonna do nothing about to change the outcomes. Like, it's literally a perfect continuity from one administration to the next. And how you know it's uniparty crap is that just look at the opinion polls. Like about 70% of Americans are opposed to our government support of Israel's ongoing war and genocide out in the Gaza Strip, and yet absolutely nothing gets done. I mean, like, it's just laughable to pretend that this is a Hamas thing at this point when the Israelis have carried on their war for 2 years. They've more than extracted their pound of flesh. They freaking razed the place to the ground. They're assassinating peace talk leaders, okay, in places like Iran and Qatar and all of these other places. And this idea that they're the ones that are seeking to end the war and bring the hostages home is silly. And again, even when Trump got his first ceasefire deal, and there were supposed to be multiple phases to the ceasefire, we got phase 1. Benjamin Netanyahu wasted no time going in public. He was saying this in public. We're not gonna follow through on it. Like the prime minister said this. You can go look it up back in January. So like, it's just laughable to think that this is anything other than what the Israelis obviously want.
And there has been a very intentional effort by the Israeli government. It's nothing new. It's been going on for a long time to essentially discredit the UN because, the UN Security Council has consistently voted in trying to pressure Israel to stop, slaughtering innocent people. And it's always the United States that vetoes that vote. It just happened again recently, which is so loathsome and makes America look so terrible, right? You have the entire international community in agreement about what's going on and how Israel needs to be stopped. But the US is fully captured by the Israeli government. And it's beyond unfair to the American people because at this point, the majority of American people do not support what's going on in Gaza. And look, more importantly, guys, I want you to take a step back. Even if I can't imagine that we have people watching the show right now that doesn't care about the innocent lives lost in Gaza, but even if you find yourself in that position, and I'll do my best not to judge you. Okay, the US is bankrolling everything that Israel's doing. They have bombed so many countries. They're on a multi-front war right now. They're trying to get the Lebanese government to disarm Hezbollah. And in the meantime, they're occupying southern Lebanon. And I mean, they just killed 4 American citizens in Lebanon. That was a story that broke yesterday. It got no attention. There were some publications that wrote about it. 4 American citizens, 3 of them were children. And you want to know what the State Department said? State Department denies that they're American citizens. Oh, you want me to believe the US State Department that's run by Marco Rubio that just doesn't even see these people as human when it comes to what Israel wants to carry out? The same State Department that has considered violating the rights of American citizens who protest what Israel's doing. That State Department. And it's terrifying because it just tells me that it doesn't matter if Israel assassinates literal American citizens, our government doesn't even have our backs. There are American citizens who got killed in the West Bank. They went to go visit their family members in the West Bank and they got killed by Israeli settlers and nothing happened, nothing. That's what our government is now. You think they care about us? They don't care about us. And that is a terrifying situation to find ourselves in, especially if you're vocally critical of Israel. All right, so during the speech at the UN General Assembly, Trump also chided other countries for, having some semblance of morality by recognizing a Palestinian state. Here's the clip.
Now, as if to encourage continued conflict, some of this body is seeking to unilaterally recognize a Palestinian state. The rewards would be too great for Hamas terrorists for their atrocities. This would be a reward for these horrible atrocities, including October 7th, even while they refuse to release the hostages or accept a ceasefire. Instead of giving to Hamas and giving so much, because they've taken so much, this could have been solved so long ago. But instead of giving in to Hamas's ransom demands, those who want peace should be united with one message: release the hostages now. Just release the hostages now.
I want to be very clear. Israel, meaning the Israeli government, not the people, because the people have been protesting. They do care about the hostages. The government of Israel doesn't care about the hostages. And I find it hard to believe that there are still 20 living Israeli hostages in Gaza. Don't pretend like this is about the hostages. Israel has bombed several other countries that have nothing to do with Hamas. They're annexing the West Bank, has nothing to do with Hamas. It's just lies. And it's so sick to use those hostages as pawns to justify this ongoing slaughter. Yesterday, France, Luxembourg, Andorra, Malta, Monaco, and San Marino recognized Palestine as a state at the UN. The UK, Portugal, Canada, and Australia did the same on Sunday. Look, obviously, this is mostly symbolic. But it sucks, Waz, that it had to take this much slaughter for the international community to finally speak up.
Yeah, I mean, it's gotten to be so obvious. And, if you remember back in November of 2023, December, January of 24, places like New York Times and the Atlantic and CNN and the BBC, like they were running interference for what became so obvious from the beginning was not some effort to quash the quote unquote threat from Hamas. There was no operational coherence. It was just obvious that they were just out for blood and we're gonna carry out a brutal retaliation, a war of collective punishment against the Palestinian people. And very early on in those days, every single mainstream media outlet was running interference and running cover for the Israeli regime and the IDF and their horrible actions. It's just because there's just no justification. You cannot say that Israel, the country, and its safety is under some grave, imminent threat from a bunch of dudes hiding in tunnels in Hamas who have to carry out these guerrilla attacks when they do on IDF soldiers in Gaza, on the Gaza Strip. This idea that this ragtag group of militants could somehow pose an actual threat to the overall security of Israel. It's no longer a military operation. There are no military goals being achieved here. It's just, clearing out a city, demolishing a school, a hospital, a recreational center, a museum. That's it. That's all they're up to, is just straight demolition.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, the entire Gaza Strip has been leveled at this point. Gaza City is the last area, and you see videos. They're just demolishing high-rise residential buildings. It's so disgusting. I'm going to leave you with this, because on Sunday, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu also stated this. They say it out loud, guys. So don't let anyone gaslight you and tell you otherwise. Netanyahu said, a Palestinian state will not be established west of the Jordan River for years. I have prevented the establishment of this terrorist state facing tremendous pressures at home and abroad. He just defames every Palestinian as a terrorist, denies them the right to self-determination. This is who Netanyahu has been from the very beginning. The founding charter for the Likud party specifically, it specifies that the goal for the party is to pursue the Greater Israel Project. There's no room for Palestine in the Greater Israel Project. And all of those surrounding Arab countries with governments that are essentially deferential to Israel at the moment. I mean, Israel's been bombing your country too. You're gonna sit there and take it. It's amazing. But Lebanon, go ahead and disarm Hezbollah. See how that works out for you. I'm sure Israel will play nice, just like they have in the past. Anyway, our government embarrasses me, honestly. And obviously, this issue has been dealt with poorly by both political parties. It made me sour on the Democratic Party entirely because of how Biden had handled the situation in Gaza. Obviously, Trump is no better.
every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.